went live. Maybe see if I can share with my friends, and then we can get started. Let's see. Awesome. And this conversation is different from our normal conversation one. So what now? Koi ko kero to go ben big die our show. So wait you come more to record that. Thank you for tuning in on the U-turn show. On the screen, one on Joel Dink all the way from Turkey, and Adinya Alier from Nairobi, and Akwal Philip, Canada. Conversation then today different. I just think our normal conversation on the youth and work when jam so much about empowerment, women, no youth and women. We do youth empowerment and also do advocacy, political analysis, social analysis, business, and entrepreneurship and innovation issues. So today we're going to numbers going to allocate which look video, look share, work or book, then we respond situation around South Sudan, around developed South Sudan. So very, very important and for all South Sudanese globally, and especially those who speak my language, we call Yam Tongjiem, we really benefit from this enlightenment and discussion on the U-turn today. Our goal for U-turn is to share information and resources and leverage platform via positive force in our community and in our country at large. So thank you always for tuning in, for sharing our message, for engaging in comments, for following the page, and for being part of this conversation. And the story talk about color before ban and question teach Deng and Dorcas and the jam about why this conversation is important now. So in 2018, on Ben Canada, Antibogu participate in our community, board community work now, board community organization that I help actively, kind of very young first year student, very engaging in community things. And what I noticed, a lot of our community members, youth, they were not actually integrating well in this system. Parents can now more focus on South Sudan and Anima that there is a new system that they won't benefit Kelatu. Meet Kenakin, South Sudan, in Canada. So I started being active in community 2015, 2016. I got a portfolio by advice BP Finance for our organization, Canada-wide. And then by 2018, well, work. No. The focus, work out of diaspora, in what we do Africa, South Sudan, can look at solve, and we want disempower. We need to focus on ourselves. Bia bugu root con established in a book meet con established in a book Peter con established. So I actually campaigned with one of my colleagues, Michelle Mayomaton, who but I did I do well. And then one elder actually, and then Charles Chien, well, your platform when around can very good. But the thing is, now we're going one in Quarpin, book a thing, who I cheer now Lenny Chol, though I don't know which of a song. And when you end on weapon, what you'll be. I don't know yet, though, or actually, and I forgot. That animal no weapon, what you'll be, really. So if, for example, go away got a diaspora, we can go a book a tin to Buni Mark, go a chiriland chain and weapon, what you'll be. That means we are exposed. Right? Because pretty our work affects somehow. So we will never be successful without our people being successful. And it helped me to think about that deeply. And that is actually why this conversation, Jordan, is very important today. That when you took in the country, you Dorcas, Kenya, into Turkey, into Canada. Kulurku yekakon te horir wa tini ben wa lu focus. Go watch the land and where to water you'll be because ka bago that is our root, and that is natural root kuchiria kati mariamia. So we're called that in the gist of our conversation today, and our conversation is really focusing on the youth because a youth I take effect and women. youth ke kai ga tum ni de tor youth ke kai ga future den in kai ne be bright, because youth ke kai the next, future of the country. And how things are happening right now are very deep. So bakol yen yinin cholo ding bakol do you respond to belona dorcas then la lul ko book jabi jam. So what I want us really to pay attention and to address is this question in chola ye jam ko why young people, how can we contribute to peace building and stability in South Sudan? So in the Bakini Kilo South Sudan Baluel and how we can actually be part of it. In get to Ben Walker Girl, Tini Jamda. And we're called died in the world share your voice, no time get in comment because now beautiful what the go part of the problem. We need to speak up for future of South Sudan. So Cholde, take it away and address that question with Kinyich about South Sudan.
Hey, and thank you, Akwal, and Jala Koi Jaban also be badai, and the like Lanchinelo a complex issue, and if na in entrepreneurial perspective, okay, like a pain point, is something that need to be addressed urgently, and the immediate call in action, But again, like the China wealth is a complex problems and problem chirikan chiti jangane that take ran ban effect kenting. Of course, man yankere ran ban everyone's contribution kenting. Which it about approach from my own experience which it chatting as well kenting. Of course, building South Sudan be a feasible need stability kenting hatan watching kenting and there's always the how I approach things. One of the biggest issues I think that being instability can think got from the roots of generational gap can think. And when we talked about generational gaps, and then we should look back be what can think, which is not just us but our parents can think. And if you look at these generational gaps can think, or these generations confusion kan tin ka ngot ke ken ko tem generation de ngot ke kelo ku generation ngot ke to. So there's a war between we're in a new era, and everyone wants not again whatever things to you at this particular time can think ale below can think, or non ko jam ke boy in a different part of the world a chen te lo kan chen an example gamane how come chika jala to different countries but it still is hard for us to cope to adapt can think. And the the chite balaya na de ke kichi generational gap kenting a lot do us looking at the if you want to see every problem kenting in every aspects appear. I guess the most critical area the top problem in the ecosystem kenting, whether a political ecosystem, whether a cultural ecosystem, whether a educational ecosystem, depend with ecosystem or entrepreneur ecosystem kenting. Who can all ecosystem can issue. Yeah, goal politics, culture, because kakeban are cannot connected and it's hard to connect the dots between four of them. Now, yeah, big contribution. Like we are looking back and counting between the pattern. I mean, looking at the patterns, and then kubuting na and the problem that and how are we going to contribute, because na can problem can think the channel yes a generational gap, but generational gaps all the ecosystem can an issue can think carry. Take an example if na approach from cultural perspective that could remember by a TikTok which is tribalism, and tribalism even as a result that people find value as a human being with there, or kajai value drives in tribes or maybe in groups that you feel like you belong to certain groups in valuable. But those are the things could be reward and one of the ways they are local is simple. It's about education. Can think be quality education or right education be big, and what kind of education is another question because I got nowadays because meaning of education is it keeps on changing. It's better in the same way. Can think which is empowerment programs are live, and those empowerment programs are be got point because those things will be created in line with the problems. I may say South Sudan may be a little bit in fourth world country to live in because problem are completely our and other people problems. Sometimes what solutions by cock la by but again we have to critical look how do we really tell us solutions to our own real problem, whether talk outside or talk within Kenting. But yet general then how could young people really contribute? One on power, one on real respect now. And one of the example of empowerment programs that I know creating casual an inclusive environment for everyone. And part of the biggest issue I've seen in South Sudan is people it's hard for people to appreciate diversity. I think people are struggling with that because we're in a country whereby it's so diverse to the extent different tribes can think Chabajam about different other aspects of diversity. But again, how do we make people understand that diversity actually be not again or the differences we have actually mainly bukra jangen bu yangen again how do diversity help us? And I always say let's ask simple question. What if we were in the world whereby there's just only one tribe, or world whereby and only one race, which is let's say black or white, or a world whereby I know just one gender, Kenti. It would have really been a boring world, Kenti, right? But again, those are the angle we see because I quite one can diversity understand you not again chin ye way to on tops of everything, right? Whether your resources it kai ka when your work valuable when your society work so we have to create empowerment programs that create an inclusive understanding of what a diversity is can think who can accord when bended within the education system because the system we have can promote. Take an example on a cultural perspective in channel well, one on different uh, aspects of culture, symbolic culture mostly, let's say language, kujalaka, deer, and all those things. How do you come up with the programs that creates, or that promotes or culture instead chiman koyaga nginaman kojadi raya ya dergels and the rest and everyone anong koy ko yakadir bull that is related to their culture or activities within that culture one that is embracing within their culture. So the point is Kavalweli is how do you create program that just doesn't include my own culture, but also bring other diversity or cultural diversity together. And being able to understand a bit along this aspect of culture, while along this aspect of culture, the same thing you holding and thing. Then we started seeing value within them because Jaraman is that you don't see value killing but he because in Kenny create there's something Chimamanda Well is one of the women that I inspired her in Chimamanda Ngozi jam na lege one of the biggest problem is anang kichi one is just a single story kenti everyone will grow up in every aspect of culture with a single story kenti you were told x and y z but you grow up knowing this particular thing kenti but again ki diversity when you're another there's something which is beyond your culture kenti and the more you understand the more you expose to diversity, the more you realize that why you do certain thing in your culture. The reason why you work up understand our culture is that we are not being exposed to other people aspects of life, whether a culture or the peacock you can look at the white and a so it can now again we have to shift from the world whereby we knew is just about what we own as or culture, tribes, or individuals to a point whereby something that promote or that create can think unity among them. One of the example, but make a practical example. Uh, Literally, Wawa Monjang can think, or maybe let's say generally African descent, walk about from a world whereby Biran be honor can think or be reputation be yaran can think AI used to be from a class B in thing whether the family background ke social class can think kaju cha yake koja ke treat based on that. Even angot get man we always know this kind of well children ye man no can think because people like asking deep background it be in thin can think and because Our culture embedded in a way whereby it's about where you're coming from, the social class, your family background, can think. But pinyera element, because if you are still practicing the same thing in this area, can think, and then you realize that because what a global village, it's not the same thing, it's not the same principle that you're supposed to apply, can think. But the point is, there's something he created in 1958, can think, which I'm going to say instead of that. Do we still look social class, background, family, mean way of honoring or giving reputation in Angran, or because I just based yen merit you can use canting, or the standard canting of what a value within that particular society canting. There's something called meritocracy canting, and key meritocracy we are living in a world whereby people are no longer judged based on where they're coming from, or maybe their backgrounds or your social class, but based on the individual talents, the individual abilities, the individual achievements, kind thing. Which mean actual merit is that there's no biasness in that particular thing. And so if you create an inclusive empowerment programs that bring this thing together, that make us to understand, appreciate whether we put merits into maybe the cultural inclusion or maybe other cultural aspects of life. And then the main aim is because be appreciating what and the diversity, because I can run educate kachini kenti when I think I buy together kenti kachin be one a lot of forums and programs, but the point is intention and the reason why I get those programs you can create kenti. And if they were really mainly bigger lawyer, yeah, it will take time, generation, but let's say in the next 10, 20 years, you would see changes. So I would advocate that again, physical building of the youth lies within creating powerful empowerment programs that truly promote, that appreciate diversity.
Thank you, Cholda, Cholding. What you think we'll copy, we'll video, we'll share, what are your thought, we'll put in the comment section. How can young people contribute to peace building? Cholding is advocating for inclusion, for recognition of individual, and not focusing so much on ethnicities, tribes, clans, everything else, all those that define us, South Sudan. And Jordan, I'm then in by with you follow up question later on. Like right now, there is so much tribal hatred. It's all Guran, you know.
Hmm.
Chol TLD Burang, there's something I heard that TLD Burang, chop right away. So
Hmm.
then how can we start even talking about inclusion? Get TL, because of correct. So think about it, but that never on here the perspective they share on youth. Like how can youth contribute to peace building and stability in South Sudan in a day, and why is that even important?
Okay, sure. Kwaljan chan by and daman one of the I don't know by the topic chan boga discussed. Yeah, sometimes we jai ta la we even I and chan popio chan can la we na we in a che wop a luin. Ikalo at a common sulu work Canada. Okay, kuna bu pol ko bu focus on ourselves. Man, I think man yani sa Sudan is a deal. Malaysia my background no noise. So now we like most of us man we refugee almost everywhere we're refugees and what we really go through is is really bad. And do you know that I've just realized recently have you in South Sudan think outside ke pronounce ke to foreign country. I get work because I need back home really bad and they have no choice. Actually, him choice where will they go after all? Because no, any ni jati ngi gahe ke jalwer dia. Chana ra chili bilwe kini to ben pan no gudu no bilwe kwani pan na pet. Abin yi mi jalala. Ndi chale yin kang political le, kang politician le. Game can he play mo ben I really real to understand. But kinya yani dokas oh what I just know is that even our neighbors, our neighboring country, Taman Jam, let me say, Uganda. Uganda was worse, was really bad. Even I remember quite like you do ping on horse really because in Uganda most of my life or Uganda. In fact, I was born almost Uganda, Uganda border, and I stay actually a lot. So now why in Kaisto you could be and Uganda you gone in a worse condition like that. You can dig man. Take a charge you much Uganda together. Like again, they went through a lot and they collected themselves. Man, Alipa and the lead man. Okay, one of the countries in South Sudanese safe to anything. Let me talk of Rwanda from you who have stayed in Rwanda now weighing. Rwanda, it's our like I think in Rwanda, like I think in Rwanda it was I don't know kitchen. Neighbor do reckon in a jano. Meat can a chicken no. Kujangimna Lorman one of the peaceful country of it. Nani any channel mean to nin channel material kai. They are kai be belong in Bijarwe channel. And the way you need to man jam was sometimes I think him rich man I learn and suspend is a corona. When there was a time we were discovered some didn't go to a corona, I leak at the hang. Class, could I understand the Marandan, but I don't think a just that Rwanda kitwing Benjicon Benebin Corga United. Could I wrote a chicken thing, a cry a chicken thing, a chicken doing Corgaman peace. Chat nothing in Rwanda.
Oh, it's good. Just joking, when you water in a family setting, so you can still talk and never bother. Just raise your voice.
Okay, like Rwanda ever had an meeting a pool kura pili bikram rich. Bidai don't pull down a big jal, kitchira. Kuja ko ding the one way ko disaster and no or no ka chain me. Kwa leman wasa dan bisa ka ja tin karri. Una ja yon chuja we ka ja ku yo mi de le miti de ke je le miti ka miti ka ja nyu dang ara. Ke ba na chi te ro de bi ku pol ku jel ngale pande na. So now to why and it like okay like maybe say I parent can you pin ben up to now Laura and I'm I know a lot of campaign about peace and all these things. Still who though I know a lot of challenges with get but at least they are trying their best. Because peaceful people will be alone. So now why and man and a lot of things youth college man Rwanda a lot in most cases there are a lot of vocational training center there. Who those vocational training center I I can think about peace. One of the unique thing in Rwanda teach like I really can you tell me about yourself? Ka really in the Rwanda. Uh-huh. Just like that. I really we said I'm just a Rwandan. So now teacher really in Rwanda how many tribes are there? Like we don't care how many tribes are there. The fact that why one people there? Mm-hmm. Okay, there ake teki jaga madban bigi atuk atu bigi ajam tung tung. Mm-hmm. Malaysia for the noise of what jam tempo. So na like cuma na tingu yenta en kede aka yibi mar bigi ajam tung tung. Tane kor ke bene ke ebe ke yunai. Ko ai ko li ko ara pisale ben sa Sudan. Pero sa Sudan ache buku mat bigi ajam tung tung. Ngobari dai basi. Ku okay cuman ya go ti ben leadership tini go go lo man sukuli jong ben da du wor la ti lo pai man elo ani jure ko jure ga ju nyin Kungo ben ye man war be ronda la la kai ke wade. To be leadership ben South Sudanese man ben is sanction man. Ikilo ke game Rwanda to be dir. To be dir ko ya no ti. Le ko ke no ran tem ran den ko no. Kuti na ja en we adil ko wo kai this picture South Sudan wo kai you still ko wak da do rot ko da do the environment is really affecting us man chul chen and so kitu en kon ku chonya di like man yana the one of the thing I struggle with okay identity da chin mi chila cha wo identify balian South Sudanese or ani but a mindset da or ni war lo accept why diverse community who why to where he took and managing to being a lot of programs that bring us together man buku nang program let me say ba program ba lo program yan lor ben lor ain lo South Sudan ben baya bay ben ku ya jir nang platform yan lo baya la ku dam lor nge ko ke dier ku bay lor nge ku pe ko bu ko ke lor ben with those things those program ben a in any way ka bi tide ka bi to ko men together dero ya den nung ti cha che ko len re che nyen ben kan kero Gwachugami ye ben ga awareness to local community because we are community kugam kwa community hadi or by change balu experience self alone chimane yende anong some ideas ke to hanu men but right now take a pora take like I take realize I useless idea kwa chulu why because maybe anchi nang some information chalo perceive about them or like maybe I'm growing up anchi wala chalo biuga yemu but you realize the change on you yourself alone. When what is South Sudanese you that are staying over there, whether water by water outside countries, we are studying, we are doing what just for our own life and for our own sake. The fact remains that we ourselves change ban alone in that thing. You just come alone and you realize that you need to focus on yourself and your life. And get your community, change ban community, man, the government, awareness, and I believe it's time all these changes been happening and the man be wala to me when we are either maybe say bigger people or grown up people or we shall book live. I think South Sudan of them other country to lose settlement because change have been on itself and be wide you realize man let me say community about awareness of lawyer kiti anye so abraloy na ja ben to kawun bi youth kaloy one of it to invest in education on ourselves de buru ko an gi chan waka ko bun pisha waka pisha of South Sudan and let me say chimana joku be lui participate in tribalism activities be wato ka tenga chenga dia nga then it will continue like that and having the program or platform that always bring us together it will take a lot of time yen gang him chana be daman jabe jore buku ideas ko kon ger woni wapai ko rat ku buku achuka idea ja ger waje those initiative ajuke initiate at home and kujogo lo ran to bring us together chin ro kon gira cha ko realize and anchuro ger ko pajara ger am kana walo chan buko ko be ger yada and is what I see so far and yeah I know we are now bad, but we shall be good. By
Thank you, Dorcas. So, cái du the word underline thế này của bu rồi con ghê cái gọi individual của be change be ja ben ja có chỗ the ben cái gọi country and in cái keyword ten and you agree cái holding about you know education okay way forward for empowerment. The problem now, we can talk about education because what how
let me also add this
outside
one.
the country.
Yeah, I want to add this one and also having platform like this.
Yeah,
Okay, you see, it sound awkward, eh? It sound awkward, but ran chipping kula kupinga me a teacher one of the way that is do happen or near a
excellent, excellent. Yeah, having positive platform when you are advocating for change and a positive direction. So I'm do nangini chol no question chati one about that hatred in our communities. Aji Ruben. everyone is comfortable in their own sector. Right? Now, you think, you get pin ban. Now, you get South Sudan, ban, now, you look or whatever tribe you are, South Sudan, you create. So how can we even reach that place of inclusion and having platform or education when everything is already at the table? Uh, so about yen initial answer, but before then, no where she ade jato to jelo no youth leadership chila ke. Youth leadership wa pe da do wala ke Rwanda binga kuma Rwanda la dera be a issue nationwide. A lot of Kenya, a lot of Australia, a lot of Canada, even a lot of US, even small community out within Trebe and Tinguala. Because there are always issues like well, I know different view of how we've been war of my uh and yeah, but I've been mind to talk or pandu and I say everyone have divergent views. So it's like this, division editorial in KTR and even education is not doing it well because most of Tonglo Rutuman back home I know fueled by educated people, kind of PhD, Victor, they're still in tribal politics. So in your day, how practical is that? Your thought, Google on that question.
To be very honest, and the like Lanjalwele, of course, I'll say it's easy. Chite Chalwele can think because Chite Chanelwele ne. One of the things to appear kaya easy nong ran ban or an individual nonga eka went within my power can think. So I like one of the philosophy jam kulwele. Fairly a human being a goal when you concentrate on something that you have no capacity or power control over it can think. And so in most cases factors are and anong factors within ka when korot nong ran as an individual anong factors to be I check anticipate kenting are rich kenting cuman problem aja baba doping kirane something to do with the ecosystem always because the different type of ecosystem could be personal ecosystem individual ata within my power ecosystem then definitely I'll give a definite answer kulwel kaba execute kenting but naika when chi external ecosystem involved which is even involves government kenting because children may think well, this how supposed to be done, Kenti. But again, quite within power or authority among their own interests, Kenti. Because most cases, man, well, biggest mistakes that at least can rather understand about the youth in most cases. A good one of the thing or we are the man a leadership, Kenti. I don't really agree that uh, politics, yeah, but let me say this way we think political platform or political arena in leadership in Nigeria leader but I don't think so. Politics a platform whereby a politician on their own agenda when their own intention but with the general interest I'm going to do I'm going to do something to the society or maybe to know yes it could be done but a way but leadership you don't have to get into politics to be a leader because leadership is require understand and I really do believe in one of the most leadership separate from the rest is a power of influence and inspiration if you can influence or inspire people positively and think based on Kaloikan individual, achungen severally with the very many leaders chilo because kitwing achi bakai post or ba or barrier by youth or by tribalism, which you can getting well that these people they use counter insurgency, whereby you use tribe in order to achieve what you want. But true leadership you go one at the individual level. Well, achieve status, achieve title. Because how do people lead without being even getting into those politics or platform? Well, do that that hatred at a deep and we were from an enclosed society whereby each of every individual really grow up in a different enclosed environment whereby they just know about their own culture. The same thing to those things. Who can man? We are open to what you'll surprise. And in most cases, there's a biasness in every culture. We grow up knowing that we are the best. And with the same thing, Granty as well. How do we start seeing the difference and appreciating each other? I'll be lying if not well could easy, but accord everyone participation. Point yala dotin in kakrane. If there's a way whereby we can create, let's say, general teaching education systems, to be right education system, because when I talk about right education system, I'm not talking about formal education, Kenti, because formal education quite deceived to that. We have already seen what happened. Quite you to levels whereby tertiary education are levels actually, but still you could see changes from them. You could see na deke achin ka war ka at the individual level or even at a level one core because by together. And so eka core be nyi na deke yen, how do we still bring an education whereby which is okay, right, and quality education that at least include, because a journey I'm not talking about now, but if it is start now, then because kiralo ke China hope future based on present situation, and I go them and again we might not be the beneficiaries, but again there's a hope that one day it can now burn into reality, but so long as it and the channel again is about advocating it right education. And the question is, Bujalti, what kind of real education that core with those things be together? Be advocates from we grow up in a close culture whereby I know hatred toward other people. Be understand now again at young let me give it an example. Let me not go further. You know, let me talk a little bit about this education system. I think right time, but let me say this way: there's UNESCO, I think it's 4 to 5 pillars of learning, and the UNESCO advocate and these 4 to 5 pillars of learning should be included within the curriculum, or maybe civil education or any kind of that if na Luiga Polo, then they really believe that there's something Barawa can. And the issue is, let's not use the mirror formal education. Let's use the mirror learning channel. What are those pillars for learning? One, every human being learn learn to be or learn to become. That's the first step. Because if I'm going to learn about something, what am I going to learn? To become what? To be what, Kenti? Yes, we are not talking about that. But I know the car within it. The second one, learning to do. Learning to do what? Yung korbalo learn. The third one, learning to know, which is what we do. If you come on Facebook, diamond, what was the intention? You go to Facebook, TikTok. The last one, which is learning to live together. But learning to live together. So if na let the opinion that is an ecosystem problem, which is not relying on me, which is us. If chita na cha detail well change the chela goal from early rich, a goal from few individuals, and then those individuals na to those places of power. Take an example, youth can empower, could into power me, then they will do the same thing like koi winaka yoke. But if you did Niala right, and then the right education, or maybe youth are doing power pit, then there's a hope now taking over me, and then they might advocate for the right thing, Kita the channel that let's say now let me another again. The first learning, actually, Balu learned by engineer, by medical doctor, no. It's about those pillars of learning. Being the first thing, I want to learn to know about other culture. I want to learn know about the rest. These are the basic thing at classroom level, because class non diversity. Even if we check a case certain tribes or maybe a certain location or society whereby diversity within could pick those things. Then also enlightenment. Because human being chalo ke pia enlightened. And I la be me ke chilewa. Because achirane di no point with the hatred di thing I develop. Achin rane di metil, achirane di ke aka you we all those things are results of the environment we grow up. Because every human being did clean ku environment chi thing determine who truly the output. Chan as simple logic models. The inputs by you are by you from the environment. The process basically grow up a bit from the same environment. Whatever thing will benele output, Chimaka hatred are direct results of the environment where we grow up. Candy. And so the whole idea is complicated, it's not easy, but it's not one individual national accord. People no right understanding about what an education is or really pay because pay money rawar no ko you through formal education, but that's not an education which is really needed. Education correct education whereby few era and revolutionalize our which you cannot advocating with not again I'm going to change something. There's something that we are debating with someone. Well not again rare foundation in every society at on the cultural credential cultural value system. And because no matter check by law no anong ka wen chi tukul chi galo chi ga pio. I'll give an example and chibula deep about the ecosystem. If you look at the education ecosystem, then the education system egal man tukul, law parents, law teacher appear, law to the government. This is the whole ecosystem. But if you want to see what the problem is, even pinum everywhere, at the same ecosystem kind of problem. Now, now parent and you on the cultural foundation, which means there are things supposed to be confirmed by the chiga yukutukuli. But if man appears wrongly, no matter chabala tukuli, those things are chigala. The biggest mistake we do is that guy kame. Now we send kids, we can learn tukuli, yet not everything be tukul bilagam. Because our responsibility is supposed to be society below, or let's say the culture, or let's say the parent, one case support be tukula loy. Now I society lo ale ke toy tukul agree bila lan. Kulel parent kacha toy tukuli. Abikri ben abila lan kulel tukul kulel. Aba bedam togene there's already kichilan by kendi. So if you look at it kanong gap the kame kendi. And ekene ka the bakena de yen if nabra war then can be ecosystem review. Where is the problem? What is it that the society is first providing? Which is let's look at our cultural value system. I'll give one example of the problem with the value system within the culture. Do you know now that corruption can never be eradicated by going to school or barrier classes for or even if which a formal education chagatan, it will never be removed. Because corruption eketa within an individual. Achi tingliaj kendi. Tingliaj medeta tinda until bijal be me right. But na kinda man benega jidit. That's the same thing with corruption. A little bit tokerane. But I right time to ban me. Then kajalo ngai chi kada chila wa no is a jarrot with the cultural na culture. Yeah, advocating honesty, transparency, integrity. It can manually grow up that way. But if na culture builds on unethical values or winching morals, no matter what happened, which a lot of a PhD, masters, baby. And that's why we say there's a power in understanding what really young buyu from the culture to our society. And Kitoman is that ecosystem is wrong. Could that ecosystem question how come we have PhD holders, but we expect them to do the right thing and they're not doing it? The point is, we are expecting one part of the ecosystem to create. They went to school, but there's a one part of ecosystem which is needed, which is foreign. There's other part of ecosystem needed, even student or man. The same thing. I'm not a student. I'm not talking about we are all students of life, and in this era, whether we learn every day. The same thing also to a government. In entrepreneurship, there's something that I'm advocating, just social impact, which is one of the models I'm working on at the moment. And the reason Yan can advocate corruption or this value system. One of the example I look well, if not strong cultural system, or let's say the value system of your culture, and then we raise whereby particular land be a jala supplement. Take an example. How do we raise society or individual whereby who are not selfish? Because part of the thing mental politics is simple selfish. How do you raise people who always have people at hearts when you're sleeping and you're thinking, or maybe how do you think about helping or solve someone else's problem? And actually, I don't quite we can engage. I mean, in terms of conversation. But care accounting a philosophy and individual. Every youth acquire a life whereby compatible life. Now, we call an kor mansion an kor ye ka ke ben ye nga ka ke nga ye ka ta grot kenti but ye ben no chi tu kula chi bla ye it is where we came from. We have a selfish culture that raises us thinking about ourselves kenti but it's not very strong culture whereby it's always about another person. It's not about you. It's about auntie. It's about me kenti then keenly grow up knowing na de ke now, log at me a certain position each in Lamar and was. So, okay, I could emphasize another again problem ecosystem, what check around. It is all us to review and find the right pattern. And the about conclude one of the examples in Turkey, which is now market them and attack or because daimar in most cases, pantantin. Keran yada accuse a foreigner around. Is art because era nyina de yen takich achin pio ka koi ko achin kam but chwera chi a part of their culture aliu and if you go to their classes kachin ke pio ju but their culture then na de yen bakir rande ba jor or ba pio nong aliu kene ke agudu man anong chi mar ka chiran takich akis ayilo na de yen izada wa por nazar wana was ga che jor kenti but be from where about from culture kenti when ka kiani that example really showed me na de yen that no matter how chago belwe na de yen we are going to be educated kubulana kudu pinchita and chinela exactly how do we go back kubu koita growth because education achi akir kwa yelo tukuli eke good ran ken chala tukuli ti anala ban kwanong right morals kwanong right value system kendi because chita ne channel leadership ke spiritual den pire randa ni influence kendi kichol den lo randa influence a leadership achi kuru jam it is just power action the key loy kendi kuina ngino bana alwel society get leaders tin ay ko influence rightly kendi but acha changino man one of the biggest issue right now de yen we think getting into politics then what a leadership is kendi you can lead without getting into leadership kendi but there's another conversation again so can I call about where ko alaba bayena dit let me not talk too much I don't know man cha answer but abajalwa tolpinyele about ke long
No, no, I answered them. Pieta. Actually, into conversation, I elevate to the next level. You know, when I was coming to this conversation for Dish about Yenin, um, I didn't know it will go to that level. Okay, it's all philosophy and moral system of the of the country, right? Do we even have a moral philosophy of our country? Do we have moral philosophy for our our coexistence and all those? So it actually give me a perspective and can the advocate and an Afro advocate and we had an advocacy space in Canada. And what I pride myself, something that come with me from my African lens, is this philosophy of Ubuntu. Ubuntu is Africa that I am because we are. That means that philosophy itself is a diversity, a philosophy of diversity, of inclusiveness, of collaboration, of communalism, that we are together, that each an individual of us is powerful or is important because of all of us. That's socialism within us. Yen get yarot pride in it, but now I look back, color back home. Yeah, Beler Ben is South Sudan right now. Does that philosophy even apply in our own homes and even in leadership spaces? Can they tackle well? Where work we compete leadership ranks, right? Like where is that Ubuntu in us? It gives me a lot of questions. You know what? I'm going one young pride when I was growing up. I really watching it. Okay, it's your liam like. Achi akere toy now jeng bi jeng ja chin chok le nga da mi cha one of who pride, right? But right now, those things are better. Those value system are young kona aluru this come not just be lim honorable right now. But at the moment, people are becoming scam. And the Belgium other tribes of South Sudan. And what came to my mind when I was reflecting about those things before, when I was designing entrepreneurship risk idea and all, it was based on Ubuntu and cultural diversities And what make it not work in a situation like South Sudan, for example, I am the ben eke chol ngong en ke ben anu maybe ria war chen ko ngong. People have loose morals, and now yeah, jungle people are survival. They are survival for the fittest. So that is spirituality. I think, what it's just now do or that was my assumption. Maybe about the answer if that assumption worked. Someone was sharing a statistic yesterday and on show that 10 on Voice of Coach, and one of the speakers, the main speaker actually said that so Sudan when 2005 when Arab Jal when peace sign census on 2008 kept 52% of South Sudanese poverty rate poverty level at 52%. I didn't have recently or no poverty index to be published at 90 something right now. So it's only like about 8% of South Sudanese take are well off, but 90% of them are still in poverty, the livelihood actually destroyed. Yeah, within this time, like from time later be ko ja be ara chien ku ja time to ko tin man. So now that long yen ke chi politician a chi ya use because ran ku chi deprived, when you are hungry, you become angry, and hatred now because I eating ran any cho kidu right, and that is being exploited. So I was listening to that person, and I also related to like nanga kuma that do really akuma that into about ecosystem and ecosystem and akuma and families and communities and tribes and ethnicities. So there's so much that goes into ecosystem, but really at the top of ecosystem is that a leadership of akuma that governs people. And one of my favorite social critics, social norms, Chomsky said that political class are the good educated or enlightened population. They have to manipulate. So they need people who are dumb, who can be deprived, who look at Peter against each other, bigger, polarized, who you can wear it. Who just when we can enjoy at the top there while got a paint and I just know in case he is that nom shop well. I can get your perspective too, like at this point, our elites whom we look up to because get your PA money and near they are not interested in being young people big and you because if not you can better control, I better manipulate bigger now. What are your thoughts about doing Kubajadu Nang Dorcas? The question, next question, will answer.
I nail it absolutely. In get it time thinking. And quite care of water chita the channel in the world. There are people who are one core empowerment or let's say nada in concept empowerment. I you call china ran ben china lighten kanti. Ko to be very honest chita china loyalty. Atau ke politicians kwata ko as an individual from my own experience I can counter no ranga kenti nang kan kerota influence awache kenti there are individuals that love because influence positively kenti anoranda whereby pide or mere pionde when you see other people be develops or maybe be non at their capacity level or brand baran and power could grow to the full capacity na non low, then that's where your happiness lies and then there are people that completely that their level of success at the individual level kachakuma that success is defined by how many failures are around you and so those people you use difference between positive influence and manipulation is that could manipulate in order to be the interest be achieved. Positive influence, and how do I empower others in order for them na de yen bi rola coin or being a big peer the bpda bi jala run in a right way can chita na chine welten that ela du pinya that particular philosophy chika na jalo ye mbutu or maybe individual philosophy young individual philosophy young core by chief as an individual do your happiness lies within when you see other people growing ku point ke jala jal it na la into politics ku chol de ngai wo ina de yen other people empowerment around or brand be empower and get a new day ayo wo yen new day kuriade is brand be weekend kanti chagwa ngwe society na lele ko women are ko be empowered ye ko ke de ngar che ngana de yen women are chi ga empower why because na de yen ayo wo chi rare women na la women like rare ka be yen role ke new day kanti so it can ke chi most of the human being whether to okay individual because an individual ye wo ke success then could you into politics that's what most of politicians use you can use but politics it could even from my perspective there's a little destroyed that's what I read some time back and I had them in Jamaica called potato root for powers and I really do believe that legal politic runs, if you look at it. And with the and those rule potential rule for powers anong principle that rajare. Principle whereby that never empower your enemy or maybe destroy your enemy completely. So in most cases, I was told that I politician dia ka queen. But in most cases, every politician that had an empowerment or enlightenment en ke ali brand yen gi chikel lawyer chi be loy because limin uprising ay bay ko people change their rights and people change also what do they really want from the government how man majority of the population even a kui young of a demand from the government ku young how do you even discern and even part of the problem today even is to a simple thing to discern who is a leader and who is not a leader who is just a politician no different interests being no different agenda there kache the resources ko be ga manage or be ya kada balwe wode be ya interest there be execute so to be very honest ekenela doya ku ejala do chikane jalwel that if we are to do something let's go back to the point whereby morals value system or cultural based system rejor kawa ake wala muti che wala grow up kanti if I grow up with the philosophy and children na daga yen I'm not a selfish person and selfless human being kanti and tomorrow I get into politics nothing will change that experience kanti I'll grow up knowing that people are hurt I'll grow up knowing that brand and power and can lead because as we are growing by 21st century South Sudan but the other part of the world leaders man others who empowers others there's nothing called leadership while you are not empowering others. Because key leadership, really leaders, even is that now can other leaders she can raise catching leadership because you are going to go. But now logical and then you were not again for that legacy to be represented. And not quite cock be cheery tending. So the point is most of the people you go quite into politics, I can consider leaders are politicians, and politics right is that there are a lot of people children to politics just politician leaders can think kujal ka brand in a name na de kai leaders but ke korku we aspire na de chin be politics the tiang na de people who are truly leaders I'm not trying to the campaign but leadership a moy can think think channel well even I'm sure man politics is becoming attractive to the extent whereby leaders by attract is hard with someone that ni na de true leader becomes belong to politics why because anyi na de if na chin kele war be joining those people are doing the wrong thing we instead we can allow young one better at the individual level so politics are attractive walk or duping to a point in the channel where let's use our leadership power to do things on our own because one thing I know is one test of leadership you must always do something at your capacity level anything within your mean because whatever thing you do should be with the question how are you going to influence and inspire people by each other and kero lo even it's not about you non kan kero talk one passion kere individuals kenti passion man ale ba cham passion ka ale ba cha yug loy passion whatever thing like my passion but there's one thing to purpose a check ran purpose everyone So when we advocate always, when we are advocating for empowerment program, the first thing is making youth and individual to find their purpose. Because key purpose, purpose you understand now is not about you. It's about whatever thing baloit and a be one legacy or a be koi because or be generation that you don't even know be inspired. So I'll stop there. Who can I agree completely that two things be were careful, a manipulation, a power influence, bu nyinti along manipulation of watch it, kada influence of watch it. Those who can manipulate, are can manipulate in order for the interest to be done. But ran ko influence positively, ran whereby actually interested in the interest or kaya will look influence the beneficiaries. Okay. So whatever thing now what you're the question is interest the kernga ye kere ran ko well kaya kere children kenti. Na ye kidia, then that's what the manipulation is. That's what politicians do. But the real relationship is empowerment, which is the beneficiary in Garan influence. So that's all I can say.
Thank you, Jordan and Pijabe and Dorcas Kedun Jalwele, very important and it aligns with Dorcas. There is time, Jan and topics, cultural, thing I have and one time Dorcas and Ben Jam, many people actually in the comment section, Higago, Peters, Thomas Bolinial, Betty Gatim, they are shouting out to you, Jordan. Your thoughts are resonating with many audience here. Many of them, Ruben Panchola, as always, Akol, and many others. They are chatting a lot, sharing their ideas in the comments. So thank you so much. We got in the comment. That video will share, and we appreciate your contribution in this discussion. Ilwela beti gatim war ko war ti lain ke jam ku le pinye chak wer ku acheng wer ku bitok wer, and that is why we are here. What mer will ko ka ke so Sudan ko wa mi so Sudan ko wa you so Sudan ku buku lui brainstorm ko wa dinka actually ko wa ko to banji ja yang watching that bring so much pain and problem to our country. So there's so much that we are unpacking, but the conversation to later that nang children more of what can we control for individual. Chol believe in individual powers, individual empowerment, and individual contribution to ecosystem in the family, in the community. Abijala tribe, Abijala, multi-tribe, Abijala country level. Abuja Blue participate globally because what to do is operate within elevator. We are operating with other people in the world that are making even nuclear weapons, and we are done even we have a read there one road panga and we work in external threat okay tawan ni book a handle with them. So jam kola piet and ben in dorcas in a minute. But we can emphasize the dorcas jam no culture you could be like what special cultures one when they are and then one time Dorcas commented, kuala buku jam kawin chin water control. We need to talk about things to within our control. Kwen get the articulate jam thing. There are things that we need to internalize, that we need to have power. But there are things that look beyond us. So Dorcas in Tarbayan platform, kin man South Sudan, kin young people, younger than both of us on this platform. Yeah, what power do you think young people like you have, and how can they use their power and technology to bring about this change? That you are Gen Z the rallies in Kenya, they have created conversation like no other before. These are Gen Z, born 2000, and they are being politically active and knowing their rights. So it is within their power, and they are calling government to listen, and the government is listening. Even I can join people like Jam on TikTok. President has to go on TikTok or go to X like Jam. So what do you think is within our power, our young people, where you fall in when it comes to South Sudan instability and political crisis?
Okay. Na kuala. Anyway, even yeah. I remember the calling in Kujati when I call Kujalwell because this discussion is so disgusting. And I just get you a deal how this thing happening. It had broken. So like last time Kran Jam the for the call book and pull win sit in our control. Like now why in this life I don't got you reload period and I don't go into our control a deal. Na tak chol wel ku chak lelo al wel ka chin lo yen because e kitchen like we call it like there's nothing you can do about it actually. Wano ka would know what control man pidu you know control to this to make a decision about your life and you know control that anything you do won't your control let me say I don't control it like for me to university eketata I decided on work for it and I don't know control about it when in let me say when it comes to South Sudan Commission, I did not decide to be born in South Sudan. I can control about it. Like if I think about that channel, I did not decide and I can think of look at this country and youth in South Sudan. And there was a meeting here was in take refugees in our school at ALU. One of the brothers go it is disgusting way disappointing leading a refugee and in most of your life again you grow up as a refugee. Actually, eh, like it be also a sad moment because you like I just imagine a delay very bad because we zero and we buy do declare you come back very bad zero time. It is situation of South Sudanese. We in to talk I think we it's so disappointing. But sometimes we in there you have some control about it. So when one of the things I do in my life, kitchen and control about the apple, non control na ting itu question cha quality um you know what powers kwa youth ko yung de kulo yung ito know what powers kwa youth e tieti ye wal wi gada ben kwa youth ben ti wal wi gada ye man what in foreign countries or what by e buki e kun like let me say anything that unite us ke wo ya luen kun wo te to kan muere ane chulu kana dinga buku nyai kitu ano wo control over it. No control over it kuna chu elwe learn and we can also pass it to our children. One of the things kitchen will what you turn today having the histories to like advocate for ourselves go work because man ran belu go someone who is willing to also see like you do I mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So now why one of the things that man having managing having the platform that bring us could one on power by it and we can do it, we can make it changing our mindset or changing our own self. What we have control over that. Kuchira control man jam is what is happening at home by people have come palakene, loikene live chino control. And man you work in man a chan and jam there topping it better hard because if man jam about to discuss man let me talk like we don't understand watching what you did this condition but it's you did we understand but coming here to discuss I don't got the really like alwala when you say something out you clear up your mind or na gar kada pin pagar pin le kin ji your mind to look clear about it so the low working jam kunim ko like everything that we thought and think about the Christmas and when he made it and focus on what we think another man because now we can roll it the man but our time when got nang peace automatically man jan ko ka ka ko man jan ke nang peace ke wise ben in ben so call smart but well to know what powers over it let we educate ourselves for you the taking the subject and educate ourselves man chen cholel wele ke chol mindset and perspective kan ge ben bu ge kita know what powers of it getting a platform bi wo ke campaign alo ke kana against it against it committee bo wa chu ben a big ni kana ra jan want to come to the time they will not do it. And another thing is, and group buke alu form ko na wa yin man chale ina ko le ne ki ri ke lo kan tai South Sudan wa ito te ko da lan kan tai ni jore ite are ke re so ji chola ne te generation ga ba deal so I think the generation that was in a deal e chi chure re ai chure but I say and you that we stop campaigning for peace and conference and we attend Rwanda about peace building in Africa. So regardless of the challenges we have in Africa, does not mean we stop spreading peace. Because I know the man like I know those who are going to understand and implement it. I don't know until I learn how to done I get cheer doing I check no go kwen ke ga chin ga lo ga. But still um the fact remains that time I believe that the man of the management you gonna lose it or Kenya lose it. And I think man of Chimane will go to try his best. If you come here to Kenya, you'll find that this one Kenyatta try his best, and you can even see South Africa one. This guy Mandela Chene mind for good years and he did not give up. He was still writing some letters. Kinyi inale bendi siji nijala, ale bendi siji nijala ka bekela implement. The guy was prison for good years, but he still could record. Na ale bendi kule position he be aben. Ka bekena be implement, bekena be implement. Nje mai and he did not give up. And at the end, he implemented it in South Africa. So the same way, though we don't see any change okay, for that long time, does not mean we stop this perspective. And the fact remains that the children that we have today are South Sudan future children. So changing perspective or mentality of your child show that you are shaping South Sudan in another way around. Because if we don't shape them or like how the country is and how then Kabutoya. So by the time I came across Nelson Mandela history, I was really like surprised. Being in prison for good years, but you cannot give up. And you can even write a lot of articles and open and implemented them later that show that everything very long run a long way, but at the end I always stabilize. So these are the things that we have control about it. Because we shouldn't control about doing anything for the government back home. But we have control about changing ourselves, our mind, initiating the initiatives. Imagine uncle, I have worked about this thing, though she's not in South Sudan. But at least Ruben, I understand. I deal. I understand. So that's what I can say so far.
Thank you, Ruben. Achu kai watch one him jam and one diri kitchen ja you are no ran can is a jam situation so Sudan ke yen ko kitchen ja you ang jok a problem. But yeah, they give no mistake I did. But before we give up and reach that conclusion, she don't still hopeful and none of them angin children walking will run out of time. In but question. Another conversation lo rat between Ruben Panchol and Ken Thomas Bolniak. And they are talking about the impact of external influence in the situation in South Sudan. So what do we focus so much about what we can control individually and collectively go by? But there seem to be a lingering thing that sometimes there could be forces beyond us, global forces that they don't know be or tiga poktin and they don't know be ga chiri beda right anong rande le an war ku le na won war ti ben pande bi mo ndi den balong be ben ko jam ne bi ni that story alwen ku ye ben to africa ke tier du en chende kin ga de chi yu somewhere de no and I agree with him okay your piece very expensive the same thing very expensive. And some of these things I can go back home. Bang quan when a banner can now pure, quite can now pure by can now. I bang when a ban big blue corporate can enemies outside, I real touches. And those people maybe they do it just to protect their neck because Rakiran with the ban tear can do it. Kuboko neck. right? We are playing in an ecosystem now. And we could take the conversation to global ecosystem, right, where the players are active. So at some point, you realize that bad people kind of are successful in leadership position, which you call young for their own benefit there at top, and make that the world order, get your hierarchy of survival, food chain, actual food chain, bagwir. So you begin now, Pabajala, from aspect of philosophical, moral standpoint, and your argument about all these things. And no, Dorcas mentioned, let's on being around. Can we for so Sudan could be stable, but now peace. It can be young, can nowhere, big minority tribes. So those people, okay, majority actually democracy convent, actually inclusive convent, and there could be powers outside that want that to happen, right? Because Kwomli, bigger or ten to Rwanda, a go to it at the pole of minority big to another tribe, and now they will have to negotiate because a Karaja cheating. And that one to me, and chemistry work and when tabla bajai well bad speculation. But now to when and I love these countries ka European tiga jate ya small Scotland, England, Irish, okay, big nations, okay, tribes chirka kwanga jinu. But they were not getting along. They have to be bigger, no, to the point that they reach to a place where they say, okay, rantum chidung, ben go chin jamar with jugulat. So eating that those forces are at play, and teen era, sas, huge, young person too. Uh, what would you say that can be done in this situation? Queen Chamot Manyang.
Yeah, and when it comes to political thing, I rarely comment and che da itaka kadati because non ke I concentrate on ke level on my own. Then quite I aga be most cases is rarely ke I always teach is that if nacha bangde jaloy kwa chila dong miate kiranda ka bajala lokulwel kedia aken dia ko jene yin ka tiet bagadu bajal ba ku kene ka chana da thinking about what they're doing. But I'll say my perspective, Kandi. And if you see the child painting in this era, or let's say in economic war, kind of war, Kandi, can build on a way whereby a wall of allies, Kandi, economy really thrives based on who is in relationship with you, because it's an a productive world whereby they understand the strengths of complementary, whereby Chiran absolutely 100% self-reliance. If you can produce up to 60 to 70%, then how do you get what you don't have? Who can countries won't talk powerful, where do we get skill you can work? And countries you can be mentioned. But Kena work generally, actually even South Sudan a language we use it or African kanti. Anang also cultural defense mechanism that if we take it that way, there's a one side of it talking on truth whereby other countries are non influence or non interest on other smaller countries can think bigger use. There's also pitnadeke and kichi whereby absolutely ke bay kok yariak and other countries got 100%. I don't care a lot, Now one of the powerful problems of Jam Kulil, if there's no enemy within, and then the enemy to outside I think so the problem con go no na boran won nong kor no ke kon bengen na I bogo you one ka bo kon ngen bi we na call and children in idiots because idiots ke dai manipulate go ke do go lo chiran this wala chiran be attack direct but the one mo to ke use against in kendi. And so in most cases if now you could learn that they can no problem ka you could no absolute power to the extent whereby ale be kilo kai ye wo you part of the problem chita on general that ki kon ku just solve da bu koy won wa charioke cuman a bu ko cheda ni na ku ni yang abulu ke ni ken tin para won le bin plan ke rana ka lo ku rana bo ku jel ke den lo ke jel ke bela ken ke kan if you can give an example ke ro most of the African countries, leaders, great leaders, actually was not directly. But again, through our own brothers, look at Sankara and Burkina Faso. His best friend, we grew up in Kenake, it wasn't in it. But yeah, interesting. Let's just assume that that particular person and no interest of the country at heart. Do you think they're interested in because what are justice? So one part are interest, but the point is work in that territory or work in gatekeeping a kenkulo bunyena de. How do we allow people that at least could be because quite a thing are coin on their own interest? Kuna boku yuke chan ai ran yu to met kan on pio di ko nong ran cái tàu I mean in that particular person kalum im na ran won ta re la ro en ri ko nong ran je ban jam ko carry out my agenda kenti kalo je le problems, to be honest, it has nothing to do with the west problem e gol kan wa na no right leader chuk to then kan no interest at ke ro cha gwang kenti but ki kona ke twing man a leaders to kan wa ka ke kona no look at the country. A country man, I don't think what the problem man ye influence an issue. Problem achungen our own leaders can think okay quite on one him can think okay no their own agenda. So can I live one way who can we deal with the enemy with it? Palgo enemy outside. If we start concentrating with the enemy outside, because those enemy within cheating and getting a problem. Actually spy kuta ko kene kor bi yo kachin kor loy whatever te ye wala tine makum bela enemies kanti but kene ga ye wani en ga pan african lo pan african I jam gulo ke west ariok our own continent but equal independence ga ye union african countries and kuka go war wana kenti so if truly a colonization te ta ran ka gonde ga ngot ke ket ku kenti so one of the thing he want jakon but honesty to first accept that one applause and once you applause you ke kon ku ja loy ku birana ne I agree bu jara lo na de yen watch it da chu loy kana che ngeman de chu ka pya de chu ka loy but wa ken te na ken ku de te wen be wa jara jam na de yen ranti e ka rewo ku wa ka ku bu ke pya lo the question is do we have people that supposed to do what we want ku jiranti jel ke prevent no I can confirm.
Thank you so much. Can you answer really on to job your mere, you know, no one to jam one of new person actually. And get jam a lot problem. South Sudan ko ko you look at dinga can nwe. The book will me ra dinga no problem. The book will dinga no I bark there. I back there no I ko warap no I ko one chan. I said, no, I got sponsor Fakir. So you don't have to, I thought we yell no wood water. So I love that. I love that analogy that if there is no problem within, then enemy from outside cannot infiltrate. And the fact that you really right and interested when we think idiot use against Rande. And that is a very, very solid answer. And I appreciate you. And I think when you Ruben when Thomas the lucrative debate, I think a deal answer that walk from the perspective of Jordan and the Utah, we believe that of course what you do go isolated nation water within the ecosystem of global governance and global food chain or supply chain or economic systems of world order, and everyone now interested in chat and if we not people unite world will pull apart by different interests, right? And so what do we need to do? The U-turn we need to make, which I said, well, we need to make 180 U-turn, go somewhere. No, we need 360 degrees. And you are complete. I don't know what you guys are thinking. Is that we really need to make that complete U-turn, go our country and young people to really not be used against each other for to serve the interests of others. You got others, I believe. When others just see loophole because within us. So empowerment is and knowing now boy and Ganya ko kwal you children you team with them and well no children era ni but you'll be then go watch it twing but him not around no. I don't want to talk about that. Then I chin later, no. So that message or answer buku jam da buku jobo to the talk and anbu ma you ten message jam well but I kaba gole door cast you ten message the well. What do you think okay, your last word to youth of South Sudan, to women of South Sudan, to to South Sudanese diaspora people and people back home, and to our brothers, Kadinka Kedenwerto at the moment, okay, tension, the area, they were a bala keke were lot wing. After that, ke children abu wede lot wing below, but where they below, who showed abu good, and now got in the chat, and then message one here you can say your U-turn message. So I see don't has actually well like your children your lot when could be his U-turn message well. So children in the in this chance, take your 5 minutes to really speak to these different people, including us on the U-turn. What can we do?
Yeah, I think it's a clear chete chi tienga. I think Alabagura takada. Abagura the personal level chete my own approach and the kelevalera and bena de yen. If na chete na chewe lwelte na you and him jam and kulwelku a support betale or support betale world ladong in an ideal world kinti ku alata ke win that chin wa power by it kinti. But big country birawa a core because rodora individually what in a world whereby cái pia man na the again yeah global village ku internet and knowledge achi by closer to us kinti. And currently achin excuses run by jam kulwel I'm not educated. Can think achieve like those days that is supposed to be like the college balapi because everyone is having access to the social media, the internet can thing. But kajala problem achal well kolor in the century of development how could the banele learning is no longer something that happens by diffusion or maybe alone on its own. Can think real learning at within the intentionality. Can think. So if you are going to learn in an individual, you can learn at a personal level, you can learn at the college. Then the question is, what are you going to do with it, Kenti? And whatever thing you learn does it because real run at within your intention, Kenti. If now very refined intention, because if we judge things based on consequences, Kenti, definitely because root cause or systematic root at with our intention. But now intention, we are going to leverage the power of technology, the power of knowledge even closer to us, Kenti. Then we are going to educate ourselves at a personal level because Ran Guchira War, I'm advocate and change begins with an individual, Kenti. We wale bu wanim jam kulwele kajwit, but the point is Ran Bana Corbora Condorat, once Guchara War, Kenti. Jaka Bella been together at least Kajalba sharing point whereby young keden when you collaborative point, Kenti. But collaboration cannot happen or by brawar if truly working on war at a personal level. Really education jibar achieve by common all education. Self education. We have to truly look at this. Achagwang anyone on social media. Kicha problem today is that evidential lack of digital literacy. Can think people are kind of educated digitally on how to use it, and the main issue of the platform. If you look, all these platforms they were to solve your social network and think how do people connect, how do people learn. But the well man another and another thing that you can value the epidemic and thing. One of the things that stand out confirmation biases, and I heard people now we should not look for information. Because that's why I'm learning emphasize because agenda to learn is powerful. It makes you take an example. One of the biases I read a confirmation bias. And confirmation bias is not again people look for information that confirm their beliefs. And so now online, then not again verification whatever thing I could I apply anywhere so long as it confirms your beliefs. But again, if we educate ourselves rightly, and then going online, you are going to find a lot of information that are contrary to your belief system. But again, with the power intention that anchor information that could add or create value. A good thing man information take away is that as individual can go how is it adding value to my life? a chin ke diri na chin ke diri ka yi wo yo ke chi ke chin ke la lo randa para le randa la destroy ke ti so kan ka le ba lo ya na de ke yen growth kada change at the personal level empowerment kon by the personal level ku yel empowerment je bela bene but we have also to do our individual parts na bu we wait ku le time will come whereby by a dik and then because just start building kachi belu kenti and which have also tell you and they can leadership advocate achi leadership in the government kan ka diak I recommend for individual intelligence wisdom ku leaderships the first thing, the first beneficiary actually are on outside, a konai kendi. First lead yourself as an individual. If you if you don't know how to lead yourself in chiranda chila lead kendi. If your wisdom can help you kachiranda chila coin. If your intelligence achi coin kachiranda la coin kendi. And the most thing kakeka en kon na we are going to lead society. Chete you go then it will first seen within our lives kendi. How are you leading your lives as an individual? How are you changing things at your personal level kendi? And then could be jaranda belade otherwise if na chin tol at ela dunta intin ka chin tol air no randa so can kala balwa ya ko greatness of any society can lie within the productivity of youth. Yeah, and whatever thing we do today really determine the future. And so whatever thing you run and just look your own productivity. What are you doing now? Because I think future la ban bila pia ke chilu determine ke iran lo. Most of the time we spend our time doing things that are not adding value to us now and also strategically in future can be. And so in most cases, you can predict the future. You could not again watching future. Why? Because let's just look at our productivities, can you? Or let's look at the things we're doing. But now could we picture big? Let's concentrate on things that we know are core, but it will amount and contribute to Kidilawai tomorrow. Yes, the situation is right. But I think society you are at once. And it must start now. Indeed. So can I go and thanks to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for your powerful U-turn message. We're quite well. I know like children, I look very young. We have to do our part, and let's see if are we changing our life to Bugu country, Bugu Jala change because success of the country a collective of all of us, go our youth because what I dang the point Bugu Moy, what I will you could to written online now work at information war technology. Instead of using technology to empower us, I use disempower us, to stigmatize, to traumatize us, and we need to take responsibility for that. Thank you. Dorcas, in our talk, by your U-turn message, and well briefly, to Ben Wedi Marks, to show that thank you so much. We're going to participate. Thank you, Betty Gatim, for sharing on for the wisdom and leadership show. We are getting take it away, Dorcas Inata.
Okay. Chukro na kwal jan chan be yene chance. Bi jam ran chi met ngari. Kamare cha beli. I will just summarize it. Brother Jordan has really said it all. And kian create been a toy in our hand. Kuyen ki the reason why and jam be no ko let focus on things that are in our control. Kilo ku muluai. Kuyen ki chichu dul ben yen kilo ku luai. Kichu kilo luai man jam mo ka bulai e bulai na kuma loela. But what you because along research alone here, one of the histories that really inspired a lot. Nelson Mandela, but in prison for 27 years, which he give up until Brigadier Corby implement when he came out of the prison for 27. I think Ben Chala any time in that prison could be to after 27 a day, Kakwere no energy again to do that work. But a year and again, everything better known and in beginning day. Queen ka kilulu at that time. Queen ka chen kiden ko ra chen leadership at the end. So no actually comment on the South Sudan issues at within 90% are cut within. Most of us are refugees or are staying outside today, but still chen know that what be are refugees forever like that or so but still nga bikiden be a lulu or pro concho pinyo ne chen chul ding lula abeloy because at the end ala onon ko bu ke bay pinum kabya South Sudanese regardless to do wakatin. And chala chukla ba ka bla ba the ina. So kubuku pye ke kubuku pye buke chala rir ba la de jene ni buko chin pan che di bana wani neighboring country man jamo ka ke jetum konta ya la big yara South Sudan sometime for the revision man are be kan ki be kan te so kubalo ke samari chan chol den kri bele bale kun to ke in our control buku le lo ben en lo ko kun chu ke lo pal ku chi wa bien like cho bi jalu gi pa ba chin ke lo ku ban le ke lo ku pal ku lo ku ku lo ku go work ke as ourselves ku palo ku chu lo lo ku ki chu lo chi le bo yo la chin lo ku man ye shin lo ala tas dan ko dicho ne ko ja wan mo ni de ya bo ni de and at the same time wo be lo ku bu lo ku chu lo ya bu pol one of the thing they go lo man wo ni me de kitin and that's why by the way I join you tan ko ka man ni de ke ne I learn you learn they learn and that's it so ku lo ku lo palo ku chu lo
No, yeah, Leo, Leroy, Chimio, Jenny, Yeto. I think a conclusion to that now. Thank you so much, Dorcas and Jordan. And I think Loku, Chimio, Chin, Alien work a book advocate for peace and stability. Pan South Sudan, I Janali Doyle. Non ka ju ye ka lwel but ke peace and stability so Sudan e paramount yen ka chawa to no and yen ka jam walk I know don't kelu ku loy and personally and akwal kelu no loy to control my hands and my mind and my mouth not to spread hate or use this platform to spread hate and bitterness and talk right against brethren and I don't know sister and too because I think the language is fair now women. So ko wai junubin nang nuari jam tong jing ko ja dinkes message ya blog nang we ka no online ka be atrocities be back home I can be shared on this platform and sometimes they invoke negative emotions that fuel people to book I can impol latong around met that thing clear bale we ka we the way Jiang, the way where people think Tongajiang is that they refrain from those languages, they refrain from book hatred, book promote. At the end of the day, someone posted a message. I think Alfred on his wall. Kulwela Luela le achin man kir or man riak de ke lum dang ramke right? If they cannot do that, they actually reach where people are reaching that can narrow. I poor Jiang can poor nowhere get I got from people knock. So my message, U10 message now we poor Dinka and poor nowhere who have taken this tribalism to heart because you are being manipulated to make the end meet for some folks out there is that please don't make it happen. Don't make this dream come true to them. Look at it now. Do you forgive? What has happened has happened. Chol nhìn chol iPhone, I ran ben one ke blind. So yen ke my U10 message and we're going to pure ya kachaga team. Ta ko pure but gal ko rodia a chala ba lo ku le na bi ke we na ke yin te wi chin chen ka bible ku choro nek if you are in power can self defense kin you can do self defense but if ba ja lo tong ba tong ja lo jor ba jor ngedu because intellect ro ram please don't do it the way you say you nale ben ke kin e another thing to empower there to say that e a buku wrote a self educate right buku wrote self educate I want to emphasize that more and more kajuc our bany kaju akenu ka len family ke dir wogatin kaju akenu ka len riake kaju akenu ka len schoolage a lot of learning you going and reading books open your mind see what how this situation can happen in other contexts how they were handled what consequences but I just a message of empowerment whereby empowerment actually in a vacuum and the U10 platform is for empowerment. So empowerment not alone in a place. place now it is land, there are people. And so let protect the integrity of our land. Let protect the integrity of life of those people. So that buku jaben it work empowerment long space, to exercise our things. If nala ben can entrepreneur who know place or Sudan can china sat at entry you than a lawyer you can think the big jobbing the next day the next end. So that's why this conversation is important on the U-turn. Is that let the stability prevail, let peace prevail, let coexistence and tolerance. Tolerate when we don't have to love each other, but let's tolerate each other because watching us get placed on that space for a purpose and for a reason, and we should appreciate that. In I don't know. Children, you to describe now. Thought Bella provoke. Kaleba Marco, the show here. If not, I can go ahead.
No, empowerment using our own chairmanship platform like this. I think most of the people are non you but you can use it get the issue because we can reach out the larger audience can think or diversity can think. And those messages, we are every platform is sharing this platform. Okay, when peace can convey or something to do with the Facebook coexistence can think definitely. Is that chita jalwel near Biranaban, Binyina at your level, how are you using your promoting peace or how are you empowering others through Kitokani? Naira and a live chairman you turn the Lord. How is it bringing people together? Kinti? So can I get a Biranaban behind you have an agenda in our area whereby level quite bay together or the Benonga Queen Sasada. So can I
Thank you. And we're talking U-turn, Jacka, we book a pull back Jala B, back a weekend, don't Jala enjoy. Next Saturday, work with Ben and our partnership, book of Ben announced, U-turn now near one partner. And we will come and talk about the value of collaboration for, unity of purpose. And while, Chinto Gachi, and what we need ko South Sudanese to progress a book watch a mat na nang organization do bang organization do ku yak routine well to ko mat watch and bang and increase the circle. So what now that conversation next Saturday. So watch the space. We'll come and talk about our new partner collaboration. An organization to Canada, which is South Sudanese. It's all now for tomorrow. So a book bay on the U-turn for book partnership that been announced and what we will see book build together will work collectively. Also watch the space and on some programming that are happening behind the scene and Cholding and the team will then book announced after that. So my work is happening for empowerment. So what will you give up then if there is uncertainty? As South Sudanese globally, we have to progress and think like other people in this global ecosystem that are thinking about prosperity, about empowerment, and integrating themselves into the world economic system. So then again, yield mindset that have to be changed, and it has to start with the youth. So now again, work back again now. Bye bye.